Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another video. In this one, I'm going to be going over Kalamax the Stormsire, this Stegosaurus thingy, aka Kalamax Stormblessed. So, Kalamax Stormsire, or as I'm going to be referring to it from this point forward, Kalamax Stormblessed, is a masterpiece from Ikoria, and it is very, very good. So, it's 15 mana for a 7/7, and when you cast a card with Flash, if it is a non-copy card, copy it. Then that copy gains full mana. This effect can trigger up to 3 times per turn. It also has, when you copy a spell, this creature gets +2/+2. That's a permanent +2/+2. However, Kalamax, surprise, surprise, is bugged. And, yeah, that 2/2 buff can only happen once per turn. So, it's really not a big deal that's not working properly. I mean, it's really not going to be the make or break in any battle that you have, but I mean, it's like a minor bummer. But nonetheless, the card is still ridiculously good. So really there are 2 ways that you can go about running Kalamax, and so as a result, I'm actually going to be showing you guys 2 different sets of gameplay in this video instead of my traditional one. So I decided to run Kalamax Error. So I first decided to run Kalamax Stormblessed like this, and you'll see that basically all the cards in the deck have flash except for Kalamax itself, and that makes it so that every time you play anything in your deck, it's going to copy itself and you get to cast that copy for free, which means that anytime you play something once, you actually play it twice, which is pretty ridiculous, honestly. So some pretty crazy things happen. With the mutate, it's really cool because it means that if you play a low-key mutator, you get to mutate 2 of your creatures per turn instead of just 1, and a whole bunch of other crazy hijinks. So this was the first way that I thought, you know what, yeah, this is how I'm going to be running Kalamax. The second way that you can run Kalamax is by either using Leyline of Anticipation or a new card that came out in Ikoria called Tidal Barracuda. Tidal Barracuda works a little bit differently than Leyline of Anticipation in that it is just whenever you draw a card, that card gains flash, whereas with the Leyline of Anticipation, it makes it so that the first card in your hand gains flash. I prefer the Leyline over the Barracuda for the very simple reason that, as you can see, the Barracuda is not an enchantment, and so as it isn't an enchantment, that means that I can't fetch it with Idyllic Tutor, and so I wanted to run it with Leyline of Anticipation. Now, does it actively matter? Like, does it really matter which one you use? Not significantly. It just, for this particular deck that I wound up putting it into, it makes it so that it's more consistent, right? So in this deck, you'll see that really the only card with flash is Embercleave, and there's the Savage Beast. And then the other thing that is going to be giving everything flash is Leyline of Anticipation, which means that as we need the Leyline and as we need Kalamax, we're going to want to play Idyllic Tutor, and we're going to want to have Killer Instinct as a way to get Kalamax. Now, as for the other cards in the deck, Urza is a pretty obvious thing for mana and being just an absolutely ridiculous creature. The Underworld's Cerberus is an amazing choice for this deck. Actually, getting 2 of these things, because it has effectively 16 power, is fantastic. And then if you mutate Otrimi onto an Underworld Cerberus, then you're going to be getting 2 creatures back from the graveyard every time it attacks, which really means you're actually basically getting 4 creatures back, because those 2 creatures that you get back are going to be copied with full mana due to Kalamax. So a lot of really crazy stuff. I feel like the gameplay in large is going to speak for itself. But if you're a person who's looking to build around Kalamax, what you're going to want to do is really go along one of the 2 different routes that I showed. Not necessarily running one of my decks, because these are very mythic and masterpiece heavy, but you're going to want to go through your collection. You can just type in flash, right? So you can just go to your card pool, and then in that little search thing, you can actually just type in flash, and it'll pull up all of your cards with flash. Now, I mean, because I don't actively play Legacy, you'll want to go ahead and pick standard sets and then see what you have. There are quite a lot of cards with flash, like a surprising number of cards with flash. So go ahead, give it a look. And then, like I said earlier, the other thing you'll want to do is look in your collection to see if you have either the Leyline of Anticipation, which is going to make it so that your cards get flash, or the Tidal Barracuda, which was part of an exclusive package in Ikoria, and that will help you get flash too. So let's just jump straight into the gameplay. Let's show these bad boys off. Alrighty, so I'm going to start off the gameplay with the Brokon version of the deck. And the Brokon version of the deck is going to be the one where everything in the deck has flash, right? So the idea is you want to get a Kalamax as quickly as possible. You'll see in my starting hand here, I do indeed have a Kalamax. I've even got 2 creatures in my hand, which is good because that means that all the cards now in my deck, except for other copies of Kalamax, are going to be copied. So they're all going to be doubled. Getting the Sea Dasher Octopus is super sweet because, like I mentioned earlier, if you mutate, you get to mutate twice because this thing has flash and it gets copied. So like everything in this deck gets copied. It's pretty brutal. So we definitely want to play the Serpent first because we want to have 2 creatures down to be able to mutate. And so Kefnet, that's an interesting choice. I feel like you don't really see very much of the gods anymore from that set, even though they're still like really strong, Kefnet and Ronas, but that's a story for another time. So here you get to see our first Kalamax activation. I played a Lockmere Serpent, and boom, I get a second one to my hand, and it casts. This is fantastic for casting objectives, by the way. So for casting creature objectives, it's really easy to complete those if you're running Kalamax. And then here you'll get to see the double mutate. So we've got the Sea Dasher Octopus. I'm going to have it mutate onto the Serpent. And then it's also going to mutate onto Kalamax because remember, we get 2 of those things. And so now my hand is starting to fill with creatures, which is absolutely what we want. We did not want to give Brokon the 5 match, but you've really got no choice. Ronas comes out. That's actually a little bit scary just because that means that my opponent's got a pretty nasty deck. But honestly, it's not that big of a deal because I've got that Dream Eater. And that Dream Eater is actually going to be 2 Dream Eaters, which means that we're going to be able to bounce both of the cards in my opponent's hand here. So the Lockmere Serpent is going to trigger a whole bunch of gems for us, which is great. We're going to get 2 Dream Eaters down, and so this match is over unless if Brokon has some like crazy removal going. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and start surveilling basically like my whole deck away. I really don't need the stuff. So, and then we're going to go ahead and get rid of the Kefnet. And then this next turn, I'll be able to use Brokon's 3rd ability, and that's a wrap. So this wound up being a really quick match. You'll find that as you use Kalamax Stormblessed and you get more used to the ability, and you tinker around with the decks, these matches are all going to be really quick. I want to say that all of my matches were less than 5 minutes, which in standard right now is pretty decent. It's not like, super speed deck, but nonetheless, it's pretty decent. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to play the 3 critters from our hand here. We'll potentially get some other cascades and some other crazy, silly madness going on, but really that's just that's a wrap. So Brokon's dead. Nothing Brokon can do, and this is going to be a whole bunch of creatures. So lots of free stuff, lots of goodness. Kalamax is awesome in this deck. Remember, this is the all flash deck, so still a really good deck. Lots of control, lots of power, so much power, and yeah, a dead Sarkhan and a winning Sarkhan, right? My Sarkhan wins. So that is the end of this one. So let's go ahead and see the other version. Alrighty, so the Narset version is actually a little bit trickier to play, just in that you have to get your paws on Kalamax, and you have to get your paws on whatever it is that you're going to be using to give them flash. So that's part of why I'm running Genesis Ultimatum in the deck. Getting to fetch all those cards and giving them mana is huge. It makes this way more consistent. Having all the different high cost supports is for Narset's 2nd ability. Because that's going to fuel a whole bunch of mana and card draw, which is really useful. And then having the Idyllic Tutor really helps a lot too. So here we're going to get off our Genesis Ultimatum. We got a 15 mana creature, so that should mean that we actually got Kalamax, which is great. Beautiful, we did. We can freely play the first Pyromancer's Goggles. We've really got no reason not to. And then I'm going to go ahead play the Idyllic Tutor to get the Leyline. And then I'm going to drop Kalamax. Now, I could leave Kalamax in my hand here and then play the Anticipation to get 2 Kalamaxes, because with Leyline of Anticipation, it'll make it so that the Kalamax has Flash too. But depending on what I get, it could be better to play some other thing from my hand twice. So I just wanted to see what all was going to come down. So it wound up being an Embercleave. I don't want to use the Embercleave. I've got a Genesis Ultimatum in my hand, which is pretty nice. The Embercleave I can just use as fuel for my goodies. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to match the Pyromancer's Goggle gem here, just because I'm going to be getting double Urza, I'm going to be getting double Goggles, so I might as well try and activate that gem next turn, just because there would already be so many cards in my hand, I wouldn't get a lot out of the Ultimatum that turn. So this turn, however, I will be able to get quite a bit out of the Ultimatum. You'll see me using Narset's second ability to get mana, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, and you know, to draw some more cards. Getting another Leyline of Anticipation is really nice, just because using Urza, you're going to be matching a lot of blue gems, so that means that your Leyline is going to burst a lot. But you know, I mean, you'll see in throwing it away, that was just because I've got a free spell. I'm going to be using Otrimi to mutate both of my critters, so that's going to give us a whole bunch of free creatures, which is going to be really, really nice. And that also means that if our friend over here, Hualti, is not able to kill us this turn, this is probably the end of Hualti. So I really don't see Hualti being able to survive reasonably another turn, given what all we've got. Now, our hand did fill, so that means that we don't get to use the Otrimi mutations. But you know, honestly, it's okay. We've got so much in our hand right now. Just getting an Embercleave down means the end for Hualti. So we definitely want to make sure that we pick the right 3 cards to double, and that's definitely going to include Urza and Kalamax. So I definitely am going to want to go ahead and double both of those, because that would signal the complete end. But foolish me did not move everything correctly, did he? Right? So we're actually only going to be doubling the Kalamax. We are not going to be doubling the Urza here. But nonetheless, this is definitely the end for Hualti. I mean, like, just getting all of this free stuff, it's ridiculous. You snowball, and the snowball is real, guys. With Kalamax, Stormblessed, your snowball is really real. So very powerful card. If you've got it, give it a shot. You'll like it too. It's amazing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.